Hi, my name is Mashantha and welcome to today's video. It is my monthly reset for February 2025. I know I'm quite a bit late, but I thought better late than never. Excuse my voice, I'm just recovering from an illness, so my throat might not be working at full capacity, but I hope you'll forgive me. So today's video has two parts. One is a review of how January went, both in terms of top line reflections and in terms of how I performed versus specific goals I'd set up at the beginning of the year in my life reset video. If you haven't seen that, I'll link it in the description box below. So part one is going to be a January review, and part two is of course going to be the goals that I'm setting for myself in February. By the way, I do have my laptop right next to me, so if I'm looking this way, it means I'm referring to my laptop notes. If this is your first time seeing a reset video on my channel, I like structuring my goals across 5 dimensions. And for the month of Jan, those dimensions were health, professional, personal, home or admin, and financial. Very quickly going through how January went for me, starting off with health. So I had a large number of input metrics for January. One was I wanted to exercise at least 2 hours per day for 25 days in Jan. And honestly, this was so ambitious because 1 week of Jan was already taken away in traveling. I came back from my winter break only around 7th Jan. So I don't know what I was thinking when I set this goal up for myself. I did track my workouts. I worked out around 12 days in January, which after adjusting for travel and the days that, when it was that time of the month for me, I believe this was around 12 out of 20 days, which is still not good. But a large reason for why it turned out that way was because I was dealing with quite a few bouts of psoriasis flare ups, exacerbated after my travel. And these were more slower workouts. They were yoga and Pilates. And I was still taking time to kind of get back to my full capacity of strength training. On steps, I had a super ambitious goal of averaging 10,000 steps per day. I only ended up at 2,500 steps. One major reason was, of course, the psoriasis flare ups I talked about. But another major reason is I wasn't able to find structured time for walking during my schedule. My primary focus in Jan was kind of establishing structure, making sure there was output. I kind of let some of my health goals go by the wayside, which I kind of consider a failure for myself. I wanted to wake up earlier in the day at around 7 a.m., which is early for me. I probably managed to do that only 2 or 3 days in a month. I kind of averaged 7:45 to 8 a.m., especially on the days that I worked out. So not good, but this is still better than some of my worst wake up times. I wanted to journal at least twice per week. Now, I would say my journaling stream of consciousness, thinking, reflecting, actual journaling was limited. I was doing a lot of planning regularly. I was planning at least a couple of times a week, which is why when I go into my professional, you'll see that directly contributed to having a lot more productive days. I would say most of Jan was super productive for me. Journaling is still not a habit for me. I think about it. I actively step back and reflect mentally, but I really want to put pen to paper. By the way, I thought because it's a monthly reset, I wanted to go for a bit of a casual vibe. So I'm in a really new, cute, cozy PJ set with these really cute heart earrings. Sort of, I'm not a big Valentine's Day person, but when I was getting ready for this reset, I thought it was cute to kind of dress up in hearts. Let me know if you like this cozy vibe, casual vibe, or you would prefer my more dressed up avatar. Let me know. One of my other goals was having manageable AM and PM routines. And I think I was pretty good, especially on both AM and PM. But because I wanted to make it manageable, I think it was very, very basic. On most days, it was literally a 2 step routine, cleansing and moisturizing. I need to get better at having the more intense, elaborate parts of my routine while still staying consistent. Invest in hair care. In case you don't recall, one of my goals for 2025 is to really double down on my hair health. I do find that there is hair thinning upfront. So I wanted to introduce more hair therapies and practices in my general wellness routines. So I was very good. I would credit my filming schedule for this. So I was pretty much washing my hair almost every alternate day in Jan. I usually used to wash my hair only twice per week, but I was very, very disciplined about it. And I also started introducing oiling regularly. So I must have oiled my hair at least 5 to 6 times per week, used conditioner regularly because I was styling my hair, used hair treatment products, hair protectant products regularly. And I would say all that shows in the general health of my hair, in the pictures, in the videos. I've been getting such kind comments from you all about my hair sometimes. So thank you for that. There's a direct correlation with the hair practices I've been doing and how my hair has been looking online. On the diet front, I think it was particularly good. I wanted to have like a largely gluten-free diet with a 20-30% dairy-free diet. I was very good on the gluten-free diet. I think I was really sick and tired of how my feet were feeling and the psoriasis flare-ups because it really disrupts my way of life. I can't work out, I can't walk enough. I just feel like lying down when I have major psoriasis flare-ups. I had a lot of renewed motivation. So I would say I was 90-95% gluten-free. Even when I was ordering food from outside, I was ordering largely gluten-free food. But I did have lots of dairy because for me, that was the only way I could get my protein intake. I used to like tofu a lot last year, but this year somehow, I don't know, the tofu dishes that we had were just, or maybe it's the quality of the tofu, it was just not hitting. So I ended up having a lot of dairy. Finally, on the input side, I wanted to have my supplements, I wanted to have my protein and collagen. I just never had protein and collagen. It's because I haven't introduced it throughout my day. I usually just have 2 meals a day and I have to figure a way to sort of introduce that. On the supplements, I would say I was pretty good, but for half the month. So maybe like 10 or 12 times the month. And then when I traveled, I forgot to pack my supplements. So I need to get back on the supplement train for myself. So those were all the health input metrics that I had in January. I would say the one good thing must have been the gluten-free diet, the hair care, and the skin care. Workouts, I pushed myself, but I was still doing the slower workouts just to ease myself into routine. One of my major goals for January or intentions for January was about establishing structure, figuring out a schedule so that I can be completely heads down. In case this is your first time or you're unaware, I am an aspiring content creator. I've worked in the corporate world for 10 years, but I've decided to take a corporate sabbatical, and 2025 is the year that I'm going to go all in on social to try to become an established content creator online and sort of build this into a viable business. Right now, I'm quite small across all platforms. I exist on YouTube where you're watching this. I'm also present on Instagram and TikTok. My big intention for January overall was to build a structure and schedule such that I'm able to really be the most productive and create a lot of pieces of content. And I would say I really is that goal. My entire focus after my New Year's trip was all about really being heads down and getting the work done. And so I was averaging 8 to 10 hour work days, learning a lot, planning. I would say the planning could be better, but I was really creating a lot of pieces of content. A pat on the back for that. So coming to output metrics for social media goals that I had. On YouTube, I did want to hit 1500 subs and we kind of missed that. I would say slowed down towards the last 10 days of January, not in terms of content being online. I would say I did put a lot of shorts content, but I don't know, I just did not see the kind of traction that I was used to. So I would say I landed at around 1450 subscribers on YouTube. On TikTok, I wanted to hit 2100 followers. At the beginning of the month, I was at around 2040 or 2045. And TikTok, I am completely stagnant. I do not know. I think theoretically, I know it's very casual content, just, yapping content, but that's not my style. At least I haven't figured my style on TikTok. So I just try to repurpose the content that I have on Instagram and YouTube. It is just totally stagnant. So I'm not even going to focus on TikTok, at least in Q1, Q2. On Instagram, I wanted to hit 650 followers. I would say at the end of the month, I was at 636, 637 subscribers, so just short of 650. But I probably started at 570 followers on Instagram. However, I am seeing a spike now. So my goals on Instagram for February, when I go through my Feb goals, will be a bit more ambitious. My input metrics on YouTube, I wanted to put shorts every day and put 7 long form videos. I did put more than one shot each day. I must have put around 60 or at least 50, 55 short pieces of content on YouTube every day, which I'm very proud of because I do have that everyday lipstick series. But I ended up putting only four long form videos online. I need to get better at planning in advance to accommodate for sickness, leaves, travel, camera issues. So that's something that I still need to use February to kind of get a hold on. Maybe that's why it kind of reflected in my subscriber count or the results as well. On TikTok and Instagram, I had a very simple input metric, which was to put just one post every day. I think on Instagram, I must have landed it around 50 to 60 pieces of content easily. I was very active on Instagram and I was experimenting constantly. Let's see, a reach on Instagram is quite tough. The personal goals, oh, this was so bad because, like I said, a primary focus and almost the only focus for January was to kind of get into a routine and just make sure I was cranking out a lot of output for my social media platforms. A lot of my other dimensions sort of suffered. That's something I want to really fix, but I think this will end up being a focus for me in probably April, like, in the months where I don't have too much travel plan. I think most of the personal goals I failed at, but let's quickly go through it. Read five books. I finished only one book, but I'm halfway through two other books. The book that I finished was Sparkling Cyanide by Agatha Christie. A beautiful heiress is fatally poisoned. Six people sit down to dinner at a table laid for seven. In front of the empty place is a sprig of rosemary in solemn memory of Rosemary Barton, who died at the same table exactly 1 year previously. So, this is, of course, a murder mystery, but this is not a Hercule Poirot mystery. It had somebody called Colonel Johnny Reyes, who would be like the detective, the chief detective trying to solve this. It was good. This is a reread for me. I would say it was mid. I always say reading Agatha Christie as an adult is a bittersweet experience because a lot of my reading while I was a child was fueled by Agatha Christie. I love these mysteries, and they're still very good to pick you up from a slump or when you need to, really hit books on your reading goal. So, very quick reads, around 200, 250 pages max. Unfortunately, there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of classism. Like, I feel especially the female characters are very binary. They really lack depth, which is very surprising because Agatha Christie is a woman. Every time I read an Agatha Christie now, I'm less struck by the plot because in most times it's a reread and I know what's going to happen, or at least midway through the book I've read enough of Christie to kind of figure out who the culprit is. I'm more affected by these elements that I told you about, like the racism, the classism, the biases. It's just not a good reading experience. Like, it's good but not good. That's why I always call it a bittersweet experience. So that's the book I finished, though I did read 50-60% of it in December. The two other books that I'm in the middle of reading are The Virgin Blue by Tracy Chevalier, a split narrative piece of fiction. And Tracy Chevalier is the one who wrote The Girl with the Pearl Earring, which is a book that I really enjoyed. And as religious fervor sweeps 16th century France, Isabel's striking likeness to the Madonna puts her in danger when her village is enraptured by new Protestant doctrine. 4 centuries later, Ella Turner moves to the French village of L'Isle-sur-Tarn and finds her dreams are haunted by the color blue. Ella hopes to become both a midwife and a mother, but her plans unravel as she discovers her link to Isabel and her ancestors' shocking fate. So it's interesting, but it's not a very happy book. So it's not the kind of book that I like to read at night or all the time. It's also not gripping. It has a slow pace of its own, and I do find that it doesn't have the beauty in its writing as, The Girl with the Pearl Earring had. I wouldn't say it's an impossible read, but it is quite muddy. Like, I'm having to plow through the book. But I would say I'm halfway through. You'll judge me for the second book that I'm reading, but it's okay. I think I did want something light at night before sleeping. So this is Sex and Vanity by Kevin Kwan, and this is the author who wrote Crazy Rich Asians, that trilogy. I would say it reads more like a screenplay, and it is quite superficial. So I'm finding it very hard to develop any sympathy for any of the characters. The daughter of an American born Chinese mother and a blue blooded New York father, Lucy has always sublimated the Asian side of herself in favor of the white side, and she adamantly denies having feelings for George. But several years later, when George unexpectedly appears in East Hampton, where Lucy is weekending with her new fiance, Lucy finds herself drawn to George again. Moving between the summer playgrounds of privilege, peppered with decadent food and extravagant fashion, Sex and Vanity is a truly modern love story, a daring homage to A Room with a View and a brilliantly funny comedy of manners set between two cultures. I did not realize this was an homage to A Room with a View, and that's a book that I haven't read. So now I should sort of go back to that. The synopsis makes it sound a lot more exciting and interesting than it is. I'm still in the flashback where Lucy is still getting to know George, and it's okay. I feel it's a bit too superficial. It's really not hooked me in as yet, and I would say I'm probably 40-50% of the way through. Let's see. I will finish this because I've spent all this time reading this. Anyway, on the reading goal, pretty pathetic. Only one out of five books that I was planned on. So very quickly going through my other goals. Singing, I wanted to practice 4 times a month. Guess how many times I did? None. Cooking, none. Do more household chores. I actually did. I did the laundry a couple of times. Yeah, groceries has become a habit for me now, so I am getting better. I listened to 5 podcast episodes, nothing. And writing, I wanted to do 10 hours of writing. I probably did like one or two, really hardly any writing. I did like a lot of outlining work, especially when I was planning my content, but not solid writing. On financial, it was more intentions rather than goals. I didn't want to buy anything like any beauty products post our trip, except for anything directly tied to my channel, and that's what I did. I do have an everyday 365 lipstick series where I swatch a new lipstick or lip product for each day of the year in 2025. And there were some opportune sales in India. So when I was in India, I did spend some time, I did get a couple of things. So that was Jan. I would still say, despite the number of goals I didn't get done, I did have a pretty good start to the year. Like I said, I was very clear about my focus for the month, which was effectively 3 weeks for me after my travel. And I really wanted to use those 3 weeks to build a routine, to develop structure in my life, because that's the one thing that I've really struggled with last year when it came to sort of working for myself and trying to take this seriously. So I'm very proud of that. And yeah, I just need to figure a way to do that productively, efficiently, along with, other important aspects in my life. So that were my Jan goals so far. Please let me know how Jan went for you and how you did against the goals that you set out for yourself. And if you didn't set any goals for yourself in Jan, it's absolutely fine. Feb can be your new Jan, and you can still reset in the month of Feb. So very quickly going in for my goals for what I have in Feb. My Feb 25 goals are going to be hinged on 2 dimensions, which are the social media side or the professional side and the health side. On social media, I mentioned that I'm still very cut to cut, in the sense I don't have a content bank that I can rely on to just adjust for, say, delays, unexpected travel, unexpected illnesses, etc. And I do have travel planned in March. And of course, get back up onto the health bandwagon. I took Jan slow in terms of health, but I really want to, double down on some of my health and workouts and steps. So very quickly on the health side, I do want to have an output goal. I want to hit 86 kgs. I want to have a fat percentage of 48%. I believe my baseline on 18th Jan, I haven't measured since then, was 89 kgs and a 49% fat share. So on the input metrics, a few changes. So I want to just have one exercise session per day, but kind of reintroduce some of my more intense workouts. And I want to work out for 15 days in the month of Feb. The reason I say 15 is first week of Feb, I was traveling and then I returned with an illness. So I was out of action for 3-4 days. I'm still coughing throughout this video, by the way. So it will still take some time for me to get back on track. Second is I want to average 7,000 steps per day. I want to wake up earlier in the day, but I'm being more relaxed. I want to do 7:30 a.m. slowly, and maybe next month improve to 7 a.m. My journaling goals remain the same. I want to plan rigorously around 3 to 4 times a week and journal at least twice per week. My aim in terms of skin and hair are the same. I want to have manageable slightly more detailed AM and PM skincare routines, and I want to invest time in hair care. I want to have a sleep goal. I've been struggling with my sleep, so I want to get back to sleeping for 7 to 8 hours each day. Right now, I'm probably averaging 5 hours. 4 is on the rare days. I want to get back to supplements, protein, and collagen. 10 days of the month are already done. So I think the most realistic I can do is do it for 15 days in Feb. Like that has to be non negotiable for having protein and collagen and getting my supplements in. I want to follow a gluten free and a dairy free diet, maybe gluten free around 90-95%. I see direct results of following a gluten free diet on my psoriasis, and I definitely want to continue. It's such an important goal for me and makes such a difference to the quality of my life. I want to kind of reduce my dependence on dairy, so I want to do dairy maybe only two-thirds of the time in February, so maybe 67% of the time. Continue my homeo supplements. I got a completely new regimen from the same doctor, and I need to make sure I'm on track with that. And finally, I my guilty pleasure has been these chocolate truffles, which are high protein truffles that are formulated by my nutritionist, by former nutritionist. Just because they are high protein doesn't mean they're not calorie dense. And off late especially, I feel like I'm popping in a lot of these chocolate truffles. They're almost like bonbons, taste really, really good. And I just end up having around 3 to 4 each day, and I think I should really cut this down. Wow, that was a long list, but you will see a lot of similarities to what I already had in Jan, with just minor tweaks based on what I know is feasible on professional social media. This is very exciting to me. So let's do a platform specific. So on the output metrics for YouTube, I want to hit around 1550 subscribers. I believe at the time of filming, I'm at 1460 subscribers, so roughly 90 subs. I think this is realistic given my current run rate, though it is quite less. And I just hope that with my long form videos, it helps to, add more people and more people join the community. I have very specific input metrics as well. I do want to have at least a minimum of 6 videos. We do have 3 weeks left, so minimum 6 videos has to be the non-negotiable aspect, and a stretch goal will be 8 to 9 videos. On Instagram, this is very exciting. I am right now at, let me quickly check how many subs I have. Wow. This is so exciting. I am at 875 followers on Instagram, which is proof that I think there is some traction's content audience fit. I think it won't, and we are like on Feb 10th, so I think it won't be a stretch to try to hit, cross 1,000 followers and hit 1,050 followers. That'll be very exciting. The input metrics for Instagram, I would say it's definitely shorts every day, like reels every day. I'm going to try to hit like around 60 pieces of content, which is like 1 to 2 pieces per day. It's a bit of a stretch, so probably 50 to 60 is more realistic. On LinkedIn, I want to put 2 posts. I was so ambitious on my LinkedIn last month. On TikTok, I kind of want to repurpose what I'm going to be doing on Instagram and YouTube. Anyway, with some more casual stuff thrown in. I still don't know how I'll make the casual stuff happen. Like YouTube and Instagram, I get because those are platforms that I actively use. TikTok still feels quite alien to me. And also, I'm scared of TikTok because it's like a black hole. Every time I get onto TikTok, I don't know how the algorithm is so good that it really sucks me into doom scrolling because, your suggestions and recommendations are so, so good. That's on the professional side slash social media side. On personal, I'm, learning from my experience and from last month, I'm really compressing my personal goals to hopefully be a bit more achievable this month. So one is I want to build an organized night routine, and this directly ties into getting a solid sleep of 7 to 8 hours. I find that because I don't have a very structured night routine, my sleep gets delayed and everything else sort of gets delayed because of that. I'm not able to sleep well, so I'm not able to get up well early enough and so on. In fact, even now it's 11:15 and I'm filming this video, because I had to film this long form video. Ideally, I should be in bed by this time. Reading, I'm going to keep it at a modest 4 books, and this should be doable because I'm already halfway through 2 books. So if I finish 2 books, then I just need to do 2 more books this month. Listen to 5 podcast episodes. I've listened to them on and off, like on flights, etc., but not in places where I'm just listening to it and making notes. And a big goal of mine when it comes to podcasts is not only listening to podcasts this year, but also distilling the learnings and so disseminating that as well. Maybe I'll make it 3 podcast episodes. 5 is probably a bit too ambitious. I want to do like 5 hours of writing, which is, I think, doable given that I have some LinkedIn posts in mind. On the home or admin stuff, I have to organize my wardrobes. My wardrobes are an absolute mess. I literally wear the first thing that my hand touches. I don't have an extensive wardrobe. I do want to make good use of what I have. And right now, I just live in pajamas or athleisure because it's such a bother because I can't find any of my stuff. So I need to like organize my wardrobes definitely in this month. On financial, it's, I think, very simple, as hard as it is to believe. Given that I'm shampooing so much and taking I'm putting in more effort with my hair care. I think I'm going through a lot of body and hair care quite often. So I need to stock up. I mean, if I shop beauty stuff that is not like opportune sale related, directly related to my videos, I'm only allowed hair care and maybe like some body care products. That was my Feb 2025 goals. I cannot believe I've yapped so much, but I hope you found this video helpful. I know I was late, no excuses. It's just that I was traveling in the last week of Jan, so it was too soon for me to film before I traveled because I still had 1 week in the month left. So I wanted to wait till that week had passed so that I had more time to tick off some of my other goals. And then I fell sick. So my voice was really strained. And even now, I've ended up coughing so much during this filming session that I'll have a tough, like, it's going to be a painful time editing all of this out. That's how Jan 2025 went, and these are the goals I'm taking in for Feb 2025. These are monthly reset videos that I plan to do at the start of each month of the year in 2025, just to hold myself accountable so that I'm doing the best that I can in terms of input metrics, habits, systems, to give myself the best chance of success in achieving my goals that are very important to me in 2025. I know we do a lot of this on the professional front through the OKRs process, like, the objectives and key results process. And I, as a joke, call this project monitoring my life, but I personally find it quite helpful and useful. So if this is something that you don't do, I highly recommend you try. You don't have to have such elaborate goals. You can start with like short goals that you keep revisiting and making sure you're ticking them off as the month progresses. So I hope you'll join me and create the community around goal setting and achieving and cheer each other on. And if you're watching till the very end, I would love to know what your goals for Feb 2025 are and how you're planning to achieve them. Till then, that's all from my end. I'll see you around. Thank you so much. Bye bye. 너랑 나는 운명 너를 보고 싶어 꿈에도